Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Q&A, Social Security Disability Today. I am your host, Attorney Anthony Reeves, and it's always a pleasure to have you with me. All right, let's go ahead and get jumping on to our questions. The first question was, in your most current video, you talked about how the Social Security Administration may look at cases involving heart conditions with applicants who are 32 and have a college degree versus an applicant who doesn't. Is this a major factor in how they decide whether or not you may qualify for SSI or SSDI? Alright, let's kind of go through the steps for the process here. The first step, there's 5 steps in the process. First is, are you working? Let's go past that one. If you're not working, they want to know if you have a disability that's lasted 12 months or more. Going past that one. Third step is, do you have a condition that meets the criteria that's listed within the listed medical conditions for Social Security? If you don't have that, they go to the 4th step. The 4th step is looking at your residual functional capacity, which is basically what you're able to do despite your limitations, whether they be physical or mental. And then they go to the 3 additional categories: how old you are, okay, your educational experience, and your work experience. Now let's kind of break those down accordingly. First of all, age is broken into different categories. There are, of course, children, which are 17 years old and younger individuals, which are 18 to 49, closely approaching advanced age, which is 50 to 54, advanced age, which is 50 to 55 to 59, and then closely approaching retirement age, which is 60 to 64. Now, this is what I tend to tell people all the time. Each one of those things, the categories, the age, the work experience, and the education, supposedly has a direct correlation to your ability to be able to reacclimate yourself into the workforce if necessary. If you're between age of 18 and 49, there is a certain presumption that your ability to reintegrate into the workforce is a lot easier at that age, because why? You're young. It's a nice way of saying you're still young, so you're young enough to be able to go to another job without having any problems. Okay? So that's the first thing. Education. The idea is there's 3 levels. There's marginal, there's limited, and then there is high school or more. That's another correlation. The more education you have, the better they believe that you as an individual have a better opportunity to acquire different skills in order to reintegrate into the workforce. So if you're limited, I'm trying to remember, I believe it's 8th grade, marginal, which is under the 9th grade. If you got like a 6th or 7th grade education, as opposed to somebody with a college degree, somebody with a college degree is going to be presumed to have a better ability to learn new skills and acclimate into the workforce a lot better than somebody with a 6th or 7th grade education. And then you have your work experience. Here's where skill sets come into play. Some jobs are categorized as unskilled, semi-skilled, or skilled. Semi-skilled are usually those. Before I break into the skill category, here's what you need to understand. Unskilled, there are no transferability skills. Skilled, it depends on the type of job. But skilled and semi-skilled are really your biggest ones that you look at. When you work at a job, certain jobs you are going to learn skills that you can use at other jobs. So guess what? If you worked as a toll collector, guess what you did? You handled money. So if you get a job as a cashier, the fact that you have experience dealing with handling money is going to be a transferable skill because it's the same type of skill. So to answer that first question, and this may be long-winded, when they're looking at your condition, they're taking all those factors in combination. So they're going to look at the fact, how old are you? Are you a younger individual? Do you have a higher education, meaning you high school or more? What kind of work background? And those things collectively are all utilized in making a determination of whether you can do the work that you used to do and work that you may have done in the past as well. And other work that you've done that you may be able to do as well. So I know that's a mouthful, so I hope that helped. All right. This person asked a question about ER visits and they don't have a primary doctor. Is it going to hurt their case? If so, what are their options? Okay. In this particular example, the big question was the person had a real serious health condition, but they don't have a primary doctor. How does that hurt or help their case? First of all, it depends on the condition. Because let's be real, an ER visit typically is indicative of the fact that something went down in your situation that was real bad. Think about it. You don't go to the emergency room unless you are in real bad shape. Now, don't get me wrong. With the status of our healthcare system right now, a lot of people are using the emergency room as their primary care. So I'm not going to sit here in a vacuum and pretend like I don't know that that's what happens. But when they're evaluating your condition, remember, an ER visit is primarily designed to triage you, get you stable so that you can go out and then go to a primary doctor. Some people don't have that luxury. Unfortunately, some people are limited to just going to the ER. The ER tends to be one shot, one kill type of situation. You go in there when things are really bad, you get stable, then you don't go back again until you get bad again. Now, can you connect all those together? Depends on the condition. For instance, if you're having a diabetic attack on a regular basis, well, part of the reason you're having the diabetic attack is because you don't have any medication because you have no primary doctor. So what happens is they stabilize you. They give you like a week's supply from the hospital. They tell you to go to your primary to get you a regular prescription, but you don't have a primary. So guess what happens? You run out of that meds, a couple days pass, boom, it happens again. So in that scenario, it's going to be tough because there's no way of knowing whether if you had treatment on a regular basis, you'd be okay. In addition, that ER visit may hurt you because they may demonstrate that if you are receiving treatment on a consistent basis, you might be better. Now, as you may have noticed, I said it depends on the condition. If you get diagnosed with something that's just terminal, like if you go in and they determine that you have colon cancer or breast cancer, something that they need to rush to treat you right away with, that's going to have some residuals, because there's a lot of programs for people who have terminal conditions like cancer or AIDS or things like that. Those are a little different because those are conditions that the end result may result in death. So again, an ER is not always the best source because it's indicating of a one shot, one kill type of environment, but it really depends on the condition itself. It can help, but sometimes it can hurt as well. All right. Then this person asked the question. They filed the claim in January of 2011. They want to know if the claim is approved, will we be retroactive to a certain time in the application? Basically, will you get back pay? Plain and simple answer to this, it depends on when they determine you're disabled. If you applied in January of 2011 and they found you disabled, let's say today is August whatever date, or whatever date today is when you view this video. Well, guess what? You're not getting any back pay if they find you disabled today. Just kind of not trying to be funny. Also, it depends on the type of application and when you said you were disabled. Let's say you applied for disability January 2011 and you said that you became disabled in January 2011, and this was a disability insurance benefits case. Well, if they found you disabled today, you got a 5-month waiting period, which means if it's August, you're talking September, October, November, December, January, you won't see a disability check until, guess what, February. So there is no simple answer to your question when you're like, will I get back pay? It really just depends on when they determine you're disabled. Once you get the date of disability, coupled with what kind of program you have, because if it's an SSI program, you only get from the date of the application. But if they found you disabled after the date of the application, guess what? They're not going to go back and pay you for that. So let's say they found you disabled today, but you applied back in January. Well, they're not going to go back and pay you based on your application back in January. They're going to pay you based on the date they found you disabled. All right. Medical source statement. Somebody asked, what is a medical source statement? A medical source statement is a statement written by your doctor indicating your condition. Basically, it can be any way the doctor writes it. It can be a doctor's note that says, I'm Dr. Johnson, I treat Mr. Smith, I've been treating him for the last 5 years for his conditions related to COPD, hypertension, diabetes, and as well as his lumbar problem. It is, in my opinion, that his condition renders him disabled. Now, here's the problem that most people have. A lot of people think that when they get a medical source statement, it's a slam dunk. They're going to win because the doctor has said they're disabled. Remember, the final decision regarding disability is in the hands of the Commissioner of Social Security Administration. In other words, Social Security has to make that determination. Now, is the doctor's statement helpful? It is if it's supported by all of the medical evidence. I talked about this in another video. If your doctor says that you're disabled, but every other doctor says that you're not, guess what's going to happen? That's where you have a problem. If you got like 5 treating doctors and they all say you're not disabled, but this one primary says that you are, well then guess what? The 4 of those doctors' medical records, especially if they've been treating you for the same types of conditions is probably going to weigh heavily against that one doctor. But it is helpful to your case if the other evidence supports it. Now, here's where another question that comes into play. What happens if you're in a situation where you want a copy of your file to see if it's there, but you can't see it? What do you do? Here's what I tell people all the time. Be mindful. Social Security will not let you have access to your file until it goes to the hearing level. At the lower office level, it's shipping between different offices to work up your case, so they don't have the ability to stop and give you what they have. When you get your file, it is very possible that there's going to be documents in your file that is not there. Do not freak. Do not get mad. That's just the nature of the beast. Whatever's not there, you just get what they're missing so that when you go before your judge, the file is complete. Just because they didn't have everything doesn't mean it's going to kill your case. And let me throw out this little tidbit to my people out here. Number of love for you. Don't dwell on the fact that they didn't have it. I can't tell you the number of times I've had clients who are going off because they could have found me disabled, coulda, woulda, shoulda. You can't worry about that now. If you're still in the appeals process and you're going for disability, focus on making sure that the decision maker, which the judge is at this point in time, has everything. Now you know what they're missing. Because remember, Social Security only pays up to $14 for medical records, so that's one thing. Second of all, you don't know what happened when they were asking for them. You don't know if maybe they didn't get the release, maybe the doctor said, I'm not going to give it to you. Because if your doctor has like 200 pages worth of records and they're trying to charge Social Security $200, guess what? They're not going to get your whole file. So breathe, calm down, get your file up to date, and roll from there. All right? Okay. Last two questions. Someone asked me about handling Asperger syndromes and what is the general outcome of those claims. Good question. I tell people all the time, don't focus on your disability based on your type of condition. Meaning, every condition is different. It just depends on the severity of the case and what's going on. Let me give you a good example. Diabetes. A lot of people have diabetes. So don't say, well, what's the outcome of diabetes cases? Guess what? If you're just taking glucophage pills and you don't have any problems with diabetes, you're probably not going to get disability as compared to someone who's taking insulin shots and has diabetic neuropathy and burning sensation in their feet and in their hands and retinopathy in their eyes. Two different types of level of severity. So keep that in mind. And then finally, with regards to student loans. I've heard that student loans can be forgiven if the person is considered disabled. If so, I'd like clarification on the matter. I encourage everyone to speak to an attorney dealing with basically debt forgiveness, which is usually for bankruptcy attorneys or Social Security attorneys in this matter. Here's where the kicker comes in. I talked about this with regards to loans. This is where it becomes a little tricky. Keep this in the back of your mind. Student loans can be discharged for purposes of bankruptcy only if you can show it's undue hardship for you to have to continue to pay them. But there's a lot of different burdens that you have to meet, and every federal district is just a little different in terms of how they interpret it. Also, remember, federal loans, as I talked before, can be garnished. They can be garnished from your check. Remember, I talked about that in detail. However, if you're looking to have them exempt, because some debts, there's no process, but you can actually put in an application for undue hardship. Keep that in the back of your mind. I hope that helps you out, everyone. I know I've gone through a lot. If you need me to have a special video, you know what to do. Send me a message, and I'm right here for you. Again, have a wonderful day. Stay out of trouble, and take care.